Sylvia and me.
Sylvia and
Sylvia and me. Sylvia and
Sylvia and me.
Sylvia.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Beckerman, host of the podcast series Sylvia and Me. Conversations with inspiring, empowering women. Welcome to the 5-year anniversary of Sylvia and Me. 5 years ago, I had the first podcast, which I can't believe. And here we are 5 years later, and I want to thank everyone for supporting. And this is our first, or my first, real live, not over Zoom. So yes, we had some technical difficulties, but hey, life goes on and we're here. So celebrating 5 years, I am so thrilled to have 5 spectacular women, and yes, 1 young man, for a very special podcast here at one of my favorite places, Noble Salon here in Stamford, because one of my favorite people is a wonderful stylist here. I won't say her name, but anyone who knows me knows who that is. So without any further ado, I believe they say, I want to have these women introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Lynne Colatrella, and I'm a woman of a certain age.
Hi, I'm Tracey Marble, and I am a woman of a certain age.
Hi, I'm Alford, and I am a woman of a certain age.
Hi, I'm Krinick-Porto, and I am a woman of a certain age.
Hi, I'm Gail Yudain, and I am a woman of a certain age.
I'm Jerold Goldstein. I was the musical director, and I had to put up with the women of a certain age.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I met this group here back in April when they were doing a cabaret show called Women of a Certain Age at the dressing room here in Stamford, Connecticut. That's where we are right now. And I was just taken aback by just the energy. Yes, there were words put to a song that we all kind of recognized, but the energy and the story that they were telling. And yes, there was a very short introduction. Everyone's a woman of a certain age, but I'd like to give a little bit more description of background of each one of these ladies and the young man sitting over there. So we have Lynne, who actually came up with the idea for Women of a Certain Age. And Lynne is the co-founder of Curtain Call back in 1990. And she's currently producing and directing Scripts on Tap at the Palace Theater. She's an actor, director, and producer. And then we have Tracey Marble. Tracey is an actress, a singer. She's performed off-Broadway, as she says, off-Broadway, TV, and radio. Anne Alford has an MFA in acting from the University of Virginia. She's performed at various Renaissance fairs throughout the country for the past 32 years, including 20 years as Queen Elizabeth I at the New York Renaissance Fair. Ellen, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, I'm sorry.
Krinick-Porto.
Okay. Ellen, actually, she retired a year ago from a 39-year career as a labor and delivery nurse at Stamford Hospital. Oh, all right. And you've been doing community theater in the area since 1984, just a couple of years. And as you said, you've been blessed with forming some amazing friendships around Curtain Call, and we're going to talk about that. And Gail Yudain, done quite a bit of acting. Let's see, Mary Mulberry Street musical, The Gin Game, Damn Yankees, Beauty and the Beast, Glengarry Glen Ross, The Hostage, Mary Poppins, Follies. Okay, so she's done some things. Oh, wait a minute. And you were you a stand-in for Diane Keaton?
Yes.
Oh, my word. Okay. And then Jerold Goldstein, who's a music director, you're directing musical and teaching in schools and privately for over the last 25 years. And I believe he is a comedian at times. He's been keeping us very, very entertained while we've been waiting. Unfortunately, you guys listening now have no idea. So that gives you some background. And as I was saying, I was blown away by not just the music and the acting, but what was taking place amongst these women. And Jerold was the musical director. So what I'd like to know is, Lynne, you came up with this idea. Why?
Why not?
We know the why not. But let's expand that a little bit more.
It's very hard for women our age to find roles that we're suited for. Very few roles are written for women our age, and I happen to know some extremely talented friends who have the same sort of like mind, and I basically just called everybody up and said, "Hey guys, let's put on a show," and that's how it started, really. And so we came up with themes for the show, different types of themes, and through those themes, we all found music that reflected those themes and talked about our favorite songs for those themes. And that's kind of how the show started to create it. I think we probably worked about 2 months prior, really writing the show and coming up with the right songs. And then we raised our hands to Jerold and said, "Okay, come in now and teach them to us." And Jerold we all sort of helped direct the show, but Jerold was our musical director as well as guided us through intent and other things that we had to do to get the show on its feet.
And Tracey, you played not a bigger part than anyone else, but you wrote the words to the first song. Why?
Somebody had to do it.
What precipitated that? What got that on?
Okay, so I did a parody, right, of a song that is the opening number for the musical Six. So we can't get sued by Toby Marlowe or whatever. But we needed a number to introduce like who everybody was. Mm-hmm. That's like the opening number, lets people know like who they are. So I was like, well, I think, we originally were going to have 6 women. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to do a parody to Six. It's called Ex-Wives, right? And I said, I'll figure out what the 6 are. And then it became 5, and I was like, okay, I'm still going to do it to 6, but we'll just be, the women of a certain age 5. And so I asked everybody for their bios, and then, I didn't want it to be like, I took a few little snippets from bios and just kind of went with it to have everybody have their moment of introduction, so that they could follow that throughout the themes.
So why were you gals so interested in doing? Go right ahead.
I had done a lot of musical theater when I was younger, but in the last few years, I'd gotten away, like the last 20 years, I hadn't done any musical theater. So the idea to sing some of these songs that I'd never had a chance to sing and in the real world would never get the chance to sing was really appealing to me. Plus just the idea of working with a group of really talented women and to be shepherded through by this guy was really very appealing.
Ellen?
Yeah, I think the whole concept of the themes was very interesting to us. As Lynne was saying, we really, after you get to a certain age, it's even when you're putting down your age on like an application, when you're filling out for your role, and they ask you the age you play. These days, I just put 50 to death because there's. I'm like, all right, how far can we go? So as we started talking about that, we started realizing we started doing themes about, okay, what songs are we aged out of at this point, and we're just going to go ahead and sing them, even though we're way too old for them. Then we thought about themes about the great songs men get that we didn't get to sing. And then, as Lynn always says, this was all really about friendship. And so there was the theme of that. But Tracey's opening was fantastic because it touched on memory loss, menopause, insomnia. We just went through the whole part of it. And I think that got really the audience going and really brought them in with us. So it was really fun to play and to be able to do songs we no longer, there's no way we can do anymore. And talk about love and love loss. And because all of us have known each other so long that we have been through a lot of those experiences with each other. We've been through births and deaths and divorces and marriages. And, so it really kind of all played together when we were on stage together. So, yeah.
Gail?
Yes.
So what brought you in?
Basically, everything they said. When you get to be a certain age and you don't feel that age, and you know that you can perform certain things and just can't anymore because you have aged out. It was very, it grabbed me by the heart because I know these women and I know just how talented they all are. And I knew that by collaborating with them, we could find the moments that each one of us can just have that joy of doing something that we know that we can do. And it didn't matter how old we were.
Well, it certainly looked like that. So I think that was fantastic. So Jerold, how was it working with women of a certain age?
Here we go.
It was the nicest group of women I ever worked with.
Good answer, buddy.
You know what's interesting is that, well, first of all, I got an email from you, right? Yeah, and saying, well, we've tried everybody, nobody will do it. Will you do it? And it's nice to know I was the last choice. But no, interestingly, music, they talk about aged out. Music, is different. You can't play Lori in, Oklahoma anymore, but you could sing her songs and they mean the same thing or different, something different, but they all are touching. And I kind of equate it to like that day Susan Boyle was on that show. Remember she sang I Dreamed a Dream? I think, yeah. And she came out not very attractive, short and dumpy, and everybody was laughing at her. They were actually laughing at her because look how ugly she is. She can't sing. And everyone, the entire audience. And she started singing within 10 seconds.
She blew them away.
But not only blew them away, she embarrassed them. They all were like, oh my God, I can't believe I felt this way. So here is someone really wrong for this song in the part in the show, but she sang it and it became her song. So music bridges everything. You're never aged out of the point you're making, I know an older woman who sings What I Did for Love as one of her in her act. And that's for dancers, young dancers. No, it's not. It means something else. So these guys did all these great songs that maybe they won't play the part, but they did it beautifully. And every one of them is so different too. Everything they did was different. All their bits, the funny, the sad, the truth. There was honesty there, but each one of them had different things to offer, and as did I. And we all worked together and created something that was so varied that it was exciting to watch. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, I can concur as far as every single one of you it wasn't that you had a part. It was like you were projecting who you were in whatever piece of the song you did. And that, to me, is what brought everyone in. And it was absolutely wonderful. And I think I was talking before, I saw something or I listened to something. Helen Moran was interviewed, I think today or the last day. Time just goes by. And the young man who was interviewing her said, "Oh, you're so youthful." And she kind of corrected him and came up with a word because she's lived a life. And she, instead of youthful, she wants to use the terminology lifeful, because she doesn't want to go back to where she was. She wants to continue living life. And that's what so many people are afraid of. When we say aged out of what? No, there are certain things we can't do. Well, I never could, but you have people who, no matter how old they are, as they get older, they want to go play tennis. When the sun is burning out there and whatever, and how ridiculous. Okay, fine, go ahead. But we have such perception of age and who we are supposed to be and what we're supposed to act like. But as you were saying, one of the main topics that brought everything together was friendship. And people don't understand how important that is in our lives, whether it's one friend, two friends, three friends. You have one, you're blessed. And I usually don't use that terminology. And you have two, even more. And for women to actually work together and share their stories. So what else did you get from this? Because it's something that you guys created. You created together. It wasn't anything that was there. And, the terminology, women of a certain age. Why did you pick some of the topics that you picked within the song and dance? I mean, it was amazing because no one would... You didn't age out anything, and I don't care what anyone says about, these songs shouldn't be sung by da-da-da-da. I don't believe in that. But what made you pick whichever part you wanted to do?
I think it was more about, and aged out was just one of the themes, but I think for us it was more about our life experience and our ability to tell the truth and tell our story through music. So when we were choosing our songs, each of those songs that we sang and chose in those themes had some kind of special meaning for us. So it allowed us to really be free. I mean, we were free. I don't know if you all want to stand up and show the back of your jackets.
Oh, let's do it.
Because one of my favorite songs in the show was our version of Officer Krupke. Because I felt like, first of all, it's done by all men, boys, not men, young people.
Well, one girl.
And one girl. And for us to challenge ourselves to do the choreography that we created. I mean, I think Ann and I were on our knees the whole time.
We're on our knees a lot.
Trying to get back up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's also about not taking yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
It's about the joy.
Yeah.
For me, like the whole process, and I give you so much credit, Lynn, because the whole thing was about feeling liberated enough to be able to like go to your house, meet on Zoom, whatever it was, to like have a discussion, to have a conversation, to what is speaking to you, what do you want to do, and if you don't want to do it, like we're doing this because we want to. It's not like we don't want to make you do anything that you don't want to do. This is supposed to be for us. And I mean, some of the most touching things. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say, like when we did For Good, and watching you and Ellen.
Oh my God!
I couldn't keep it together. The whole, every time you started to sing together, I was like verklempt. you know, it's just that to see the friendship, the bonds of friendship, and you know, and to feel the energy from the band. You know, Jerold, you know, led the band, and it was just it felt like a unit. You know, it just felt like a real ensemble.
Your husband
everything.
was in the band.
Yes, he was.
Hence the joke about sleeping with the drummer.
Yes, right.
I think also Jerold pushed us. I know he pushed me. I know he knew Jerold and I go back a long way, and I know he knew that he could get me to a point, and he pushed me to that point. And I'm so grateful for that, because I use that song a lot in New York now. But yeah, I think we all challenged each other. We all wanted to be the best for ourselves and the best for each other.
Yeah, you said it for ourselves
Right.
too. Like, also, it's like just speaking to our age, women of a certain age, and like being unapologetic about this is what I do now, and this is the way I do it, and maybe it's not the way I did it 20 years ago or 25 years ago, but reimagining it and bringing more layers to whatever we do.
And what was really good, I think, too, when you're talking about layers, is when we were in between each theme, each person who was introducing it told a little story about themselves and about that related to the theme. So we sometimes it was very funny, other times it was very poignant, but we wanted to use the themes to tell our stories as well. And, you know, like we said, some of them were, you know, talking about, like the one I did about, you know, becoming, you know, my introduction was for the segment about singing songs that men get to sing that we don't get to sing. And I just said, you know, now that hair is growing in places it never did before, and I'm singing 3 octaves lower, why not? We can just, and did about the boy that you were in love with in the 60s. And so we kind of tied in all of these little themes. And I like what you're saying about the age. And I think one of the best things is the monologue also that we talked about as our lives changed. And we kind of created that monologue with that. So yeah, it was such a work of everybody and a collaboration of love. It really was. So yeah.
And we're still friends.
Yes. Yes, that's true. After all that.
For an hour anyway.
Well, you know, one of the things that I felt was how you were together in this, yet you told your own story, and you each did it in such a way which, yes, it was poignant at some parts, and it was funny at others. And I love that you could say that you pushed yourself, because if we don't continue to push ourselves to do something that we don't think we can, how boring would life be? And then, then we're going to get old, because we're not going to have anything new to do. We're not going to have a reason. So you guys also, you gals, this is not what you do on a full-time basis right now. So how do you manage to put it into your lives?
You just do.
Yeah. Because it means
It is, yes.
It feeds your soul, so you have to make time for it.
Okay, so tell us, what do you do other than?
Well, my husband takes over the washing of the dishes.
Oh, cool.
I'll do the cooking, and I run out the door. And there's things that I put aside that they're not important to me, because it's more important to go out and rehearse for 3 hours, 4 nights a week. Actually, we did 6 nights a week, but who's counting? And you have to be very organized and very balanced, and pick up the slack when you know you don't have to be at a rehearsal, so that you can get the things done that really have to get done, like the bathroom. So,
Or like sleep.
or like sleep. Well, sleep? But that's literally, you really just.
Well, okay, so I want to go around, and we'll start with you, Gail. What was the most telling part for you in doing this cabaret show?
I would say I remember working on the 60s music and all of the harmonies that we had to learn. And I hadn't had to learn new harmonies in a really long time. And I remember going home one night and telling my husband, I cannot believe how much fun I am having trying to get my brain to remember all of this harmony. Because as a singer, you get to sing the lead song, so it's right there. But when you have to sing harmony, it's a lot of work. And when it finally clicked and went in my brain, I was like, okay, I am not that old. I got it. That's what I remembered about it.
I wanted Jerold. I didn't mean to leave you out.
You didn't leave me out. I'm enjoying listening to stories, learning
Okay.
about these ladies.
All right, Ellen.
Oh, what was the most telling? The '60s was hard for me too because, like I said, I still don't think I ever totally really got it. So that's the other part.
You looked like you got
I did.
it.
I
Yeah.
faked it really well. But yeah, learning the songs, and that changes over the years too. That's something that we kind of noticed that we went, oh, how much do I, the quickness of memories, the quickness of remembering steps. It's not quite there as it was, but we got there with it. And I love the talk back. I think I love the monologue part. I loved being able to talk to the audience about who we are, where our journeys were. And one of my favorite lines in the whole show was at the end of the monologue, which is that youth is a gift of nature, but age is a work of art. And I think that kind of incorporated how we all felt about this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was that part. So, yeah.
For me, the most challenging thing for me was the choreography because all of these ladies are much better dancers than I am, and so. But I had a great time doing that, and just the structuring the show and working together and saying, okay, is that working or is it not working, and
being honest about it,
and being honest about it, and just and making it our own. We just created it, and that was so satisfying. And then it got a good reception. We touched a chord with a lot of our peers, I think.
And
So-
you were also sort of insecure about learning the songs, about singing too,
yeah.
because you hadn't sung in a long time.
Exactly.
You said.
Yeah.
And
It was terrifying.
Yeah, you were terrified for no reason because you sang beautifully, and you stood in your own way for a while, and it was like, no, you can do this.
Yeah.
And eventually you went, no, I can, and you did. And you, from the beginning of rehearsals to the show, was like a new person. It was like, I can still do this, and you needed to trust.
Thank you. You all gave me the courage, so thank you all.
You were so endearing. It was fun to watch everybody transform, honestly, to to sort of grow into to themselves. I guess. You said something about the fun structuring, and I think that was really fun. I mean, we also had to let go. We cut tons of stuff. I mean, we could have done another show easily. Yeah, thank God. Some of it, thank God.
Don't forget, there were people who were like, oh, I don't want to cut that. And then there were a lot of people, thank God we cut that.
I know. I loved working on the opening number, not because but because seeing Gail with the numbers, Gail choreographed it and staged it. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't, no way. I just couldn't envision that. And she had it all in her head, like where we went and how how we kind of weaved in and out of one another. And I thought that was really, exciting to see that all come together. Yeah.
So it's interesting because you get this idea in your head, and then it happens. But not only does it happen, but it happens with people that you admire, that you look up to, that you trust, because part of being on stage with other actors is an incredible amount of trust. If you were to lose your place in the music, you never had to worry, because Jerold, and he would say it all the time, I've got you, I've got you, I've got you. So I think just hanging out with these guys was the best thing for me.
You know, it was also very, as you can hear, very collaborative. And I remember even just a couple days before we opened, 2-3 days, we sat down and went, you know, what do you think of this? Do you think we should say this here? It was like towards the end of it, we did a lot of pruning and cutting, and no one was saying, no, I wrote that. That's the way we're doing it. You know, and it was how do we make this better? And someone would say, I'll take it home and I'll work on it. And okay, what do you think of this? And the people did like some of the things they did and didn't want to say goodbye to them, but at the same time, it was for the whole, and we all just did it. We did what needed to be done to make it work, and that was great. We trusted each other.
Well, trust is it's a great word. It's one that we are usually very, very careful about, or if we're not, we learn that we need to be. And how wonderful to be able to not only trust each one of you, but to be able to trust yourself to push yourself to do things that you thought you couldn't do any longer. You're bringing it up from from within, and then to be able to do it and do it as, again, I'm one of your biggest fans, to do it in such a way that, a cabaret, it's a small venue, and you're surrounded by people, and you could feel the energy and the love that was in that room, which is not an easy thing to bring out in everyone. I mean, you had people standing there and cheering afterwards, and that's really an accomplishment for you and what you were able to bring out. What do you say to people who are so fearful of looking old or acting old, and so that stops them from moving forward?
Get over yourself.
Okay.
Look, age is a number, and as we're getting older, I think it's just a number. It's really about how you feel, and like somebody said before, we may not do the steps as quick as we used to, and we may not learn the harmonies as fast as we used to, but we do it. And so, it's about always, for me, it's always about waking up and saying, today I'll find the joy. And some days it works and some days it doesn't, but most of the time it does. So if you can get up every morning and you can find joy in your life, no matter what it is and what you do, or how old you are, or how many wrinkles you have on your face, or, you find it. It's about being positive in life, and what's the alternative?
And I think when you think about this, I don't think we would have done this show 10, 15 years ago. It wouldn't have had the same feel. I think we're at a place in our lives where we can relate to the music in a certain way now. And because you say, get over it, we have gotten over a lot of that. And so we can put the joy into it, because we're like, this is who we are, and we're happy about it. And I don't think it would have had the same feel if we had done the show even 10 years ago.
Probably not. No.
So
I was going to say that it's something that I think we all have in our hearts. As Lynn says, age is a number, and I've never acted my age.
boring with that.
That a girl.
Ever.
You'd be dead.
I would be dead.
Oh, my God.
I would be so dead.
Wow.
But I just have never. And life is so short that I don't even let something that's scaring me or making me anxious stop me, because there's always a part in my brain that says, okay, you know you can do this. You've done that, and that. This is not much different. And that's what gets me over the fear of doing something.
And that's something that so few people are able to do. But isn't it great that when you do it, there's no greater feeling of not just accomplishment, because I don't think that's the right word, but word retrieval I don't do very well anymore. But I love the word joy. You know, people have used it in so many different ways, but you're using it in a way that really brings pleasure to not only yourself, but we can go back to the word friendship. And that is so important. So what I'd like to do is just go around, and we'll start with you, Jerold. What would you like people to come away with from either our talking or from doing the cabaret show, from working with these women, from working on women of a certain age?
Other people, what I'd like other people to come away with?
Just people who are listening, people who are watching, people who...
Gosh. Just go away. That's all. No, I'm not sure what the answer to that would be, because what my whole life, I've been an entertainer my whole life. I've never really had a job, and that makes me happy. You know,
He's good.
I'm a performer who became a performer not because I chose it, but because that's what I did. And I kept following it, not because I had to, but that's just what I was doing. So I'm leading to the thought of what a joy it is to just perform and enjoy myself, enjoy what I do. I'm an actor too, which is a lot of people think I'm just a piano player. I'm really an actor, is how I made my living. So what I want people to go away with is the joy that I have, because I look at a show when you're performing, either in the show at the piano or singing, whatever it is, that it's a big living room, and a whole bunch of us are in the living room together. But right now it's my turn to tell a story. It's not a theater. We're all hanging out. They happen to pay to watch, but they're going to leave with I hate this word. I was going to say my truth, but truth and honesty is what you do. And if you're being honest with whatever it is you do, they see right in your eyes to your soul, and they feel what you're feeling, and they go away with, I know Jerold better than I did beforehand. You know, something I didn't know. Was that okay? Was that a good answer?
That was perfect.
Okay. Your turn. Top that.
Yes.
I hope that they come away with that love and friendship is all around you, and you just have to just open your eyes and let it embrace you.
I think what we've said before, I think coming away with the idea that age, like you said, is a number. It doesn't matter. If there's something you want to do, go for it. You get it, you get it. You fail, you fail. And I think that comes with age too, that you don't care as much if you didn't get it, or you don't or you failed. So go out and try, but not trying is the worst. You got to try.
Yeah, just kind of to add on to that is like, the more terrified you are of trying something, the more your psyche is probably telling you that that's something that you need to try to break through.
Well, I'm going to go after breakthrough. No, because I think that's also has to do with the truth, right? So we're trying to be. It's hard. It's very difficult to play yourself on stage. I think it's the hardest thing. But also, like, what I would love people. The reason I do this is to tell story, and to get the audience to go to either be consumed by the story that's happening on the stage, or to get lost in their own story, you know, to like how they relate to that. That's humanity. You know, we're all part of the same human race. So,
And the truth is, as entertainers, if we can help someone for an hour, 2 hours to forget all their troubles or forget what's going on in the world and just be in the space with us and enjoy the ride. I think that's why it's so much fun.
I have another thing interesting to add. I hope it's interesting. Is I've done stand-up comedy and a whole bunch of other things. I actually opened for Soupy Sales a few times. You remember Soupy Sales? And I was
You're
doing
showing
my
your
act.
age.
Dating yourself.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't know who he was at the time. People had to tell me. And so I did my act, and one of the comics, who's fairly well known actually, who was working, came up to me afterwards, and he actually said, when you're performing and you're like laughing and having a good time, how do you do that? It looks like you're like really having a good time. And I said, I'm really having a good time. And that's the truth thing. There are some people, right, there's a lot of people who think, oh, well, I have to put on that I'm having a good time. Well, that's not the way to do it. Actually have a good time, and that's what we did.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. I'm going to say a couple of closing statements, and then I'm going to ask you, all six of you, to do something. I want to thank everyone who has pushed me to do this. It's been 5 years, over 180 episodes. The women that I have been introduced to, that I've had conversations with, and as these women and young men have said, sharing stories, it's what it's all about. I want to thank Noble Salon for allowing me to take up the space here. I do have some very good friends who are here with me today. And I hope that we have more time together because this has been fun. Go out of your comfort zone. I know I did. I am right now. I do put one out. There's an episode that drops every Tuesday, except next Tuesday, taking the Tuesday off. I think people have more important things to do next Tuesday. And I'm only going to say this. Please, if you haven't already, just go vote. That's your voice. Okay, so now I said that I want to have these women, and the young man have been sitting here, and I'm sure people are going, they're wearing gray sweatshirts. Well, come on, show us why you're wearing the gray sweatshirt.
Heads up.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining me here today or tonight for a very special podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can find us on all of your popular podcast platforms. And of course, our website, sylviame.com. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay tuned.